Hey everyone, it's me, Jessica, and this is my week three Sunday reflection. And so for this week, we are going to be going over again some of the questions that we had for this week's information. I believe it was to identify the best legal structure for myself and my business idea, identify the license permits or certifications that are required to secure that start and to operate the business, and then to identify the types of insurance that I would see relevant and necessary for my business type. So let's get started. Of course, the first question, identify the best legal structure for myself and my business idea. So the business idea, again, is the photo booth idea that I very prematurely just started. The structure that I think would best work for this business type would to be an LLC. The reason why I feel like this structure is best is because it doesn't cost a lot to start here in San Antonio. Again, it would be a really like low cost startup fee. It's going to allow me to operate on my own. So I have no intentions on hiring people to work at this time. But if I ever feel like maybe I need extra hands, I could, under an LLC, hire people. But for now, it's still going to allow me to operate on my own. My own personal assets would be protected from any sort of like business debt, any sort of liability situations. If somebody were to try to like sue me, any sort of like lawsuits, litigations, or anything like that, my home, my, cars, my assets I have put away in the bank, things like that would be protected since I'm operating under the LLC with the business. I wouldn't have to worry about a lot of like that red tape when it comes to compliance requirements. And then the taxation process would be simple, since it's going to pass through directly through my own personal tax return. I don't have to worry about all of that red tape in that situation. So I think an LLC would be great for this business type. Now, when I looked at license and permits for the state of Texas, for San Antonio specifically, I didn't get much for a photo booth. There was some things about photography, but with the photo booth, it really just said like a general business license would be efficient enough to operate. I'm sorry, sufficient enough to operate in San Antonio. When I checked the website, so I went to texas.gov under starting a business, and it gave me like a 160-page list of all these businesses that would need certain either permits or certifications. There wasn't one for a photo booth, so I would assume that I would just need a general business license to operate legally in San Antonio here in the state of Texas. But that's also good information because I never knew that they had a list like that. So I'll definitely maybe need to check that every so often in case something changes. And then the third one was to identify the types of insurance that you see relevant as necessary for your business. So this was a really big one because I'm actually an insurance agent for USAA. And so I don't sell business policies, but I just do property and vehicles and things like that. But I am familiar with liability policies. And so, like, I sell umbrella policies for personal liability situations. But anytime we have people that have businesses, we get them to our agency, and then they have those separate policies that will cover for any sort of like business type of situations. Now, as I've been looking into maybe potentially doing events like at venues or like wedding venues, just locations, a lot of locations do require you to have event liability insurance. Even like when you have a wedding, sometimes you'll hear like, oh, I have to have like event liability insurance. And so for photo booth like vendors, right, you have to have that type of liability policy for a lot of the venues, and it's really necessary because it protects your business and any like individuals from like financial losses due to accidents or injuries or property damage. So like if I have my photo booth set up and I have a carpet out, right, and a guest maybe were to trip over that carpet and they fell and they hurt themselves, I could be held liable because it's my business and it was my things that were out that the guests tripped over. And so that's why it's really important to have those event liability insurances, because it protects from any sort of like accidental bodily injuries. If somebody were to have some sort of like property damage or anything like that. Now, you could do a general liability insurance policy because it has similar coverage compared to an event, but I feel like the event insurance just has like a more broader coverage, especially if that's like your main thing, right? You're going to be doing photo booth events, or photo booth. I guess, yeah, events at different vendors or venues, personal houses. The majority of my work, though, will probably be done at venues. And so I think having the event liability insurance is great. But yeah, so that is my reflection for this week. Again, super into all this stuff. It's really helpful. So I'm glad that I actually was able to take this class first semester. So see y'all next week.